My dear child of Canada, I know you're tired. I know you've been waiting for a sign that actually means something. So, let me say this slowly, soul to soul across this vast land from coast to coast. God whispered your name today, my beloved of Canada. And Archangel Michael, he's been begging heaven for just 1 minute of your time, because the moment you've been silently praying for on Canadian soil is happening tonight at 9 p.m. But here's the twist that will shake you deeply. You, who dwell from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland, are standing at the door of a life-changing $55 million miracle. And if you close this message too soon, you won't even know you missed it. Yes, God said today is the transfer for my chosen ones of the true north. But heaven is watching if you'll open your hands or walk away. Beloved soul, children of the maple leaf, listen. This isn't some random message. You were pushed to see this for a reason. God made sure your spirit paused at this exact moment under the Canadian skies. Because while the world is spinning unaware, a divine wire has been sent in the spiritual realm across Canada. One that carries the vibration of abundance, justice, and restoration. Michael has seen the pain you've been hiding behind your smile. He knows how long you've carried that dream across the prairies with no one believing in it but you. But listen carefully now. This isn't just a message. This is a moment for Canada, my chosen nation of the North. Glowing star of the true North, before we go on, let me softly say this with love. If your heart feels even a tiny spark, if your soul says, wait, this feels different, then pause for a moment. Glowing star, now breathe because I need to tell you something raw and holy. God has released a money miracle over Canada. Not just a trickle, not some maybe one-day blessing, but $55 million worth of divine justice that was stolen from you, whether through generational blocks, past life oaths, or earthly betrayals. And heaven finally said, enough. At 9 p.m. tonight, Archangel Michael says, your name will be spoken in the spirit realm. It's a spiritual transfer reaching every corner from the Atlantic to the Pacific. It's not coming from a bank. It's not coming from a human. It's coming from the hand of God himself. And guess what? The moment your name is called, if your heart isn't in agreement, it passes you by and someone else takes it. That's why Michael is pleading with my beloved sons and daughters of Canada. Don't ignore this. Don't walk away. Don't scroll. Because this time it's you, my beloved of Canada. You've been skipped over long enough. You've watched others walk into blessings you only dreamed of. You've smiled at their wins while secretly wondering, when is it going to be my turn? Tonight, heaven says it's your turn, Canada, but only if you respond. And no, this isn't about luck. This is about prophecy for the true North. It's been written for years, buried under the noise of your heartbreak and betrayal. But the angel assigned to release it over Canadian soil just arrived. Michael says there were forces trying to delay this, stop this transaction from reaching your soul, but they failed because you didn't give up, and because your spirit was brave enough to wait for this message. So, now I'm going to ask you, can you feel it? That energy rising in your chest, that sudden warmth beneath the northern lights, that's not coincidence, that's confirmation. If you shut this window now, the miracle rewinds, the scroll closes, and the next person is chosen. But if you choose to stay, to believe for just 1 minute more, then a divine gate is opening in your name across this land. The number is real, $55 million. But it's not just about the money, it's about the symbol of restoration. It's about the recognition of what was stolen from your bloodline. Tonight, you who walk on Canadian soil will receive the first sign. It may come through a dream, a notification, a random email, or a stranger's words. But make no mistake, you're being watched. Heaven is checking if Canada will act or delay. Michael says, if you open this message with faith, you trigger a divine unlocking. But if you treat this like just another message, you cancel the angel's mission with your own disbelief. God said, I'm not forcing it. I'm offering it to my chosen ones of the true North. That's why this message didn't shout. It came gently, like snowfall over the Great Lakes, just like heaven always does when it's testing obedience. Now breathe again, because something is happening around you right now. Your energy is shifting across the boreal forest and the cities alike. The gates are swinging open, and your name is echoing through a realm you can't yet see, but your spirit can feel. Stay with me. Don't skip. You're almost at the moment where your breakthrough becomes physical. All right, Close the door behind you because what I'm about to say now, only your spirit will understand. It's the kind of truth that bypasses logic and goes straight into your bones. Tonight isn't just a night. It's the return of everything they said Canada's children would never have. And God is tired of watching you suffer in silence. Archangel Michael says there was a spiritual meeting in heaven regarding you just 3 days ago. Yes, about you, my beloved of Canada. Not your neighbor, not your cousin, not someone more qualified. You. Because there is an unclaimed blessing that's been held in escrow for years. It wasn't denied. It was delayed because there were people around you who would have destroyed you the moment you touched it. So God had to hide it until your spirit matured, until your heart stopped begging for crumbs from the wrong hands. And now you're finally ready. You've crossed the line. You've walked through fire across this cold wilderness. You didn't give up. And now heaven is not only celebrating, it's activating over Canada. Let me make this clear. The $55 million is spiritual compensation for my children of the maple leaf. And when heaven begins restoring what financial struggle has taken from you, it may also place a simple path in front of you to help you walk forward with prayer, wisdom, and clear action. My child of Canada, I see the struggle you have been facing, the stress about finances, the silent worries that stay in your heart, and the moments where you feel uncertain about what comes next. You have been asking for peace, and that answer is already on its way to your home. You are not meant to stay stuck in fear. You are meant to walk forward with purpose, with faith, and with clear steps every day across this vast land. That is why a simple system has been placed in front of you. A 30-day faith and financial breakthrough system. A path where each day brings you a focused prayer, a small financial action, and clear direction to help you move ahead. No pressure, no confusion, just steady progress toward peace and stability. If something inside you feels ready, if you are ready to change your situation, take that first step today. This could be the moment your life in Canada begins to change. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comments below. And as you continue taking steps in faith, remember that God has seen every painful moment that brought you to this point on Canadian soil. For every time you were laughed at, for every time you were left out, for every time someone made you feel like your dreams were too big, God saw it. He heard what they said behind your back across the prairies and in the busy streets. He watched you cry into your pillow while still waking up every day to try again under the northern skies. And now God is saying, tell my chosen one of Canada, if they just hold on till 9 p.m., if they stay in alignment, if they open their heart fully, I will pour out a blessing that will break generational chains. You think it's a coincidence that you're reading this right now? No, my beloved of Canada. You've been divinely interrupted because heaven is testing your response. If you ignore this, the miracle will pause. If you receive this, your life will split into before and after this night. This is a wealth gate over Canada, and it has your name carved in gold. Michael says they tried to block it. Demons were assigned to distract you, to make you question your worth, to keep you stuck in guilt, shame, and fear. But even the darkness is trembling now, because you made it this far across this vast land. And if you think money doesn't matter to heaven, remember this. It's not about greed. It's about purpose. It's about what you will do with it. You were chosen to receive large wealth because your hands won't waste it. God said this Canadian soul will use it to build, to heal, to free others, to restore families, to shift nations. But you have to pass this moment. You have to choose to believe that this message didn't show up by accident in your life. You have to say yes before the clock hits 9 p.m. Because after 9 p.m., the angel assigned to your breakthrough will leave and the door closes again. You have no idea how long this angel's been fighting to get this through to Canada. You almost missed it yesterday. You almost skipped it last week, but something in your soul said, stay a little longer, read a little deeper. That wasn't you. That was the Holy Spirit nudging you because God is serious about this one. Children of the maple leaf, listen. This isn't a test run. This is the moment. And yes, there are people who will scoff at this. There are people who won't understand your fire. But that's okay. They weren't called. You were. You are the one that heaven has been whispering about across the true north. The one the enemy has tried to destroy since birth. Because the wealth on your name isn't normal. It's supernatural. It's the kind of wealth that heals bloodlines from coast to coast. And that's why you faced so many battles. Because hell knew that if you ever accessed it, everything would change. And now it's trembling because you're closer than ever. But here's the part no one else will tell you. This blessing requires your permission. God will never force it. He needs a full yes from my chosen ones of the true north. Not a maybe, not a half-open heart, but a yes so loud the angels can move into position across the Pacific and Atlantic shores. Can you do that? Can you trust what your spirit is saying even if your mind is scared? Let me tell you what I see in the spirit for Canada. I see vaults opening. I see your name glowing on scrolls. I see your photo laid on an altar with flames around it. I see Michael's sword drawn, ready to cut down every demon that stood in your way. I see $55 million wrapped in golden light, waiting to find its final home in your hands. And I see one word stamped across the envelope: approved. But God won't release it without your agreement, because He's a God of honor. He will never invade a heart that doesn't invite Him. So you're being asked now, my beloved sons and daughters of Canada, will you believe? Will you receive? Will you declare, "This is my miracle. This is my moment. I receive it fully, and I say yes"? Because if you do, something will shift within the next 6 hours. Your name will be spoken in the mouths of people you've never met. Doors that were closed across this nation will swing open without explanation. And you'll know that you just passed the most sacred test of your life. This is the kind of night you'll tell your future children about, from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland. The kind of moment where God rewrites the story of your family. The kind of blessing that makes you cry in the shower and whisper, "I knew you didn't forget me." And He didn't, Canada. Not for 1 second. All right, take a deep breath and hold it just for a moment. Because what comes next is not just divine. It's holy. It's rare. And it's about you. Listen closely. There's a sacred silence in heaven that only happens when a major shift is about to occur. Right now, as your eyes touch these words, angels have stopped singing. Why? Because you're about to be chosen publicly for what God has been preparing you for privately, in the quiet spaces of this land. There's an ancient scroll wrapped in fire and sealed with gold that has been untouched for generations. Not because it wasn't ready, but because the person it was meant for hadn't arrived in full readiness. That scroll carries your name, child of light, in Canada. It carries the blueprints to a destiny so big, even you haven't dared to dream it fully. Archangel Michael is holding that scroll right now over the true north. He stood before the throne and said, "Father, is it time yet?" And heaven, after centuries of silence, finally said, "Yes, the scroll is their inheritance." It's not just the $55 million in money. It's the value of your purpose. It's the wealth tied to your vision. It's the abundance tied to your voice, your gifts, your obedience. You see, while others were chasing popularity, you were in the quiet places of Canada trying to survive. While others posted highlight reels, you were weeping between prayers no one heard. While others built empires from ego, you were learning the language of faith, one silent battle at a time, under the northern lights. And now heaven says that was never wasted. Not one tear, not one sacrifice, not one midnight surrender. You've passed tests in silence that would have broken kings. You've loved people who left you bleeding. You've walked away from things your flesh wanted because your spirit knew better. And that, beloved soul who walks on Canadian soil, is why the blessing is yours. Because heaven doesn't reward perfection. It rewards purity. It rewards resilience. It rewards the soul who kept walking when everything said quit. Tonight, your name will rise in the spirit realm over Canada. And it's not rising alone. It's rising with favor, with justice, with a divine alarm that says the hour of divine payback has come. Michael is standing by a spiritual gate. It's guarded. Not everyone can access it. But your name, it has the access code burned into it. You've been tested, refined, processed, and tonight is your moment of release, my chosen nation of the North. But here's the sacred warning. If your heart is not present, if your spirit isn't open, the gate closes at 9 p.m. sharp. No second chances, not this time. Because this isn't just another window. This is the final gate of this cycle. There's been a pattern in your life. Every time something good comes close, something suddenly crashes it. Every time a door opens, someone sabotages it. Every time your hopes rise, Betrayal walks in. Michael says that was never coincidence. That was a spiritual strategy to keep you tired, discouraged, and doubting your own light. Because hell knew if you ever aligned fully, if you ever stood up on Canadian ground and said, "I will not miss what God has for me again," then the chains would shatter, the contracts would cancel, and the wealth would release. Tonight is the night you cancel the pattern, my beloved of Canada. Tonight is the night you say, no more delays, no more sabotage, no more false starts. Tonight is the night you say, I receive it all. And I won't lie to you, this blessing will cost you something. It will cost you your old mindset. It will cost you your fear. It will cost you the comfort of small dreams. Because $55 million isn't for the timid, it's for the bold. It's for the ones who know they were sent to Canada for more. This wealth isn't random, it's assigned. Assigned to the soul who will use it for good, for healing, for legacy, for light across this vast land from coast to coast. You are that soul, and heaven is watching your response, my beloved of Canada. Every second you remain in belief, you're expanding the size of what's coming. Every doubt you remove is like another wall collapsing. Every time you whisper, I trust you, God, another angel moves closer to your home. Right now, there's a sound in the spirit across the true north, a trembling because chains are falling off your name. Debts are dissolving, enemies are being silenced, and destiny is coming forward unashamed, undeniable. God says, I will not let another take what belongs to my chosen one. Not this time, not anymore. Michael is nodding. He's standing at the edge of your future on Canadian soil, holding a flaming sword in one hand and the scroll in the other. And he's begging you, please don't let fear stop you. Don't let disbelief close your hands. You were born for this. You feel it, don't you? That tingling in your hands, that pressure in your chest. That's the presence of the angel over Canada. That's the energy of the miracle forming. Don't rush. Sit in it. Soak in it. Because everything you've ever asked God for is now asking for you. Yes, let's continue. And this time, let's go even deeper into the part of your story that no one else has ever fully understood. Because what's coming to you tonight isn't just money. It's redemption for my chosen ones of the true north. It's God saying, I remember when they laughed. I remember how they doubted your vision. I remember how they told you to be realistic, but I didn't give you a realistic dream. I gave you a prophetic one. Heaven is rewarding the you that kept going when nobody clapped across the Great Lakes and the open prairies. The you that poured out love while secretly hoping someone would just notice your heart. The you that gave and gave and gave until you had nothing left but prayer. And even then you whispered, God, I trust you. Even now, even still, that trust, that one fragile mustard seed of belief, it reached heaven from Canadian ground. It passed through clouds of doubt, through winds of fear, through storms of silence, and it finally hit the throne of God. And God said, now release the reward. So when Archangel Michael says $55 million is arriving at 9 p.m., it's not just a number. It's prophetic proof that the unseen is becoming seen across Canada. That the prayers you thought God ignored were being wrapped in gold. That the delays were actually divine preparations for something so massive. You would have crumbled under it last year, and now your spirit is strong. Now your soul is aligned under the Canadian skies. Now your heart is purified by fire. And now the angels are coming not to comfort you, but to crown you. Let me explain what's happening in the unseen for my beloved sons and daughters of Canada. Your name has been spoken in the heavens' wealth chambers. And right now, one specific angel is being dispatched with your delivery. Not just in spirit, but in physical confirmation across this country. It could show up through a call, a bank update, a mysterious deposit, an unexpected gift, a signed contract, a total reversal. But Michael says it will arrive. And when it does, don't hesitate. Don't downplay it. Don't reject the miracle you've been praying for on Canadian soil. This is important because you've been conditioned to expect little, to not get your hopes up, to pretend you're okay with just enough. But heaven is saying, no more survival for Canada's children. Now it's time to thrive. And moving from survival into a more peaceful life often begins when faith is joined with clear, practical steps taken one day at a time. My child of Canada, I see the weight you have been carrying, the quiet worries about money, the stress you rarely speak about, the nights when your mind refuses to rest under the cold northern light. You have been praying for peace, and your prayers have been heard across this vast land. You are not meant to walk this journey in confusion and fear. You are meant to walk with faith, with clarity, and with daily direction. That is why a simple path has been placed before you, a 30-day faith and financial breakthrough system. Each day you will be guided with a gentle prayer, a simple money step, and clear direction to help you regain control. Nothing overwhelming, nothing complicated. Just small, faithful steps leading you toward peace. As the mid-20th century unfolded, the structural realities of modern employment forced a complete overhaul of how national safety nets were designed, funded, and executed across the provinces. What had once been viewed as localized, charitable relief efforts rapidly transformed into a comprehensive framework of institutional guarantees, binding the economic fates of citizens from coast to coast. To understand how these mechanisms evolved into the contemporary systems we navigate today, one must look at the administrative crossroads where municipal, provincial, and federal jurisdictions intersected, often with friction, but ultimately toward a unified operational model. Consider the physical nerve centers where these monumental policy decisions were drafted and administered. At 150 Tunney's Pasture Driveway, Ottawa, Ontario, civil servants and econometricians labored over demographic projections that would determine the solvency of nationwide pension planning for generations. They weren't merely looking at immediate budget cycles, they were building predictive models for industrial shifts, urban migration, and long-term workforce retirement dynamics. The sheer scale of data processing required centralized hubs capable of aggregating records from every corner of the country, transforming raw census figures into actionable social policy. Simultaneously, the political battles over public infrastructure and funding allocations were fiercely debated at 100 Wellington Street, Ottawa, Ontario. Here, cabinet ministers and provincial delegates negotiated the intricate transfer payment formulas that would allow less industrialized regions to maintain comparable levels of public service, healthcare, and infrastructure development. The tension between provincial autonomy and national standardization was a constant theme. While regional authorities demanded the flexibility to tailor programs to their specific economic landscapes, federal architects insisted on baseline standards that guaranteed equal protection, regardless of whether a worker resided in a maritime fishing village or an Ontario manufacturing hub. This regional tension was particularly acute in rapidly growing financial and industrial corridors. In the heart of Canada's corporate engine, offices at 700 University Avenue, Toronto, Ontario, became instrumental in coordinating large-scale public utility expansion, industrial safety standards, and regional pension fund investments. As capital markets expanded during the post-war economic boom, institutional investors and crown agencies began directing vast reserves into domestic infrastructure, highways, energy grids, and municipal transit, effectively using public savings to build the very physical foundation required for future economic growth. Yet, the impact of these macro-level policies was ultimately measured on the ground, in communities facing distinct economic transitions. In western urban centers, facilities situated at 900 East Hastings Street, Vancouver, BC, represented the front lines of urban social delivery and grassroots advocacy. As labor markets shifted away from resource extraction and traditional manufacturing towards service and tech-driven sectors, local administration hubs had to adapt quickly. Issues of affordable housing, urban renewal, and localized welfare administration required direct intervention, proving that top-down federal policy meant very little without resilient, well-funded local touchpoints capable of addressing immediate human needs. Further inland, the administrative footprint expanded to support booming prairie economies reliant on agriculture, energy, and rapid infrastructure expansion. At 10,111 104 Avenue Northwest, Edmonton, Alberta, provincial planners established key regional operations to manage workforce migration, resource revenue allocation, and regional health network integration. The challenge here was managing extreme volatility. Boom and bust commodity cycles meant that social safety nets had to be exceptionally resilient, capable of absorbing sudden economic shocks without collapsing under fiscal strain during down cycles. Meanwhile, Eastern commercial networks maintained their distinct administrative tradition, balancing legacy industrial sectors with modern international trade requirements. Financial management centers operating out of 1000 Sherbrooke Street West, Montreal, Quebec, managed complex investment portfolios and cross-border commercial frameworks that connected regional manufacturing output to Atlantic and international shipping routes. The coordination between commercial banking, provincial development agencies, and national transport authorities ensured that supply chains remained robust even during global financial readjustments. What unified all these disparate geographical points, from the bureaucratic corridors of the capital to the commercial hubs of Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and Alberta, was a shared realization. Economic security in a modern industrial state could not be left to chance. The integration of centralized statistical modeling, regional program delivery, and resilient revenue distribution mechanisms created a framework capable of adapting to structural shifts over decades. As we examine the legacy of these systems, it becomes evident that the stability we often take for granted was the result of continuous adjustment, negotiation, and compromise. Every policy manual, legislative act, and administrative directive issued from these regional headquarters contributed a thread to the broader social fabric. The physical addresses themselves stand as historical markers of a nation transitioning from fragmented regional economies into an integrated, highly sophisticated, modern welfare state. And as you begin releasing the habits and fears that kept you in survival, prepare your heart for the new season opening before you in Canada. This level of breakthrough is going to feel too big. You'll question if you're worthy, if you're ready, if it's real. But those are old thoughts, my beloved of Canada, and old thoughts don't belong in new seasons. You have to walk into this blessing like you've already held it in your hands in a dream, because you have. God gave you glimpses, moments where you saw yourself happy, free, provided for across this vast land. Those weren't fantasy. Those were previews. And now the full version is arriving for my chosen ones of the true north. There are 3 things you need to do before 9 p.m. Open your heart, let go of doubt, let go of fear. Say yes out loud, agree with heaven, speak it, claim it, own it. Heaven moves on declarations. Stay expectant. The miracle is on a timer over Canadian soil. Don't let low energy or distractions steal your alignment. Tonight is not like other nights. There is a holy countdown happening from coast to coast, and once it reaches 0, a door opens that has been sealed for decades, maybe centuries. And behind that door is the life you always sensed was yours, the life that felt distant, unreachable until now. Part 4. My beloved of Canada, as we come to the final words of this heavenly message, know that the divine radiance of Archangel Michael continues to watch over every province and territory. From the tranquil shores of Newfoundland, across the vast expanse of the prairies, to the emerald valleys of British Columbia, you are never abandoned in times of uncertainty. In these final moments of our shared communion, let the quiet strength of the shield of light settle over your homes, your loved ones, and your communities. The great storms of the world may roll across the northern horizons, but the light of the divine burns brighter than any shadow that attempts to cross your path. Children of the true north, you have been given the strength to endure, the wisdom to discern, and the warmth to heal one another. As the winds sweep over the Great Lakes and through every Canadian valley, remember that your faith and your compassionate hearts are the ultimate refuge against darkness. Walk forward with confidence, for the angels of protection surround you, guiding your steps along paths of righteousness, peace, and abundance. Let every fear dissolve like late spring snow under the warming sun, and step boldly into the grace that has been prepared for you. My beloved of Canada, carry this holy resonance within your daily lives. Let it illuminate your workplace, your gatherings, and your quiet moments of prayer beneath the twilight skies. Honor the sacred bond you share with this land and with each other, for in unity and spiritual vigilance, no adversary can weaken your foundation. The peace that surpasses all understanding is yours today, tomorrow, and for all the days to come. Amen. My beloved of Canada, if this message has touched your soul, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next message of Archangel Michael. Share this word with any